What if I told you that every move you make, every thought you overanalyze, every moment you spend replaying the past, it's all playing right into their hands? Every late-night urge to text, every unanswered question eating away at you, every time you wonder if they miss you, it's exactly what they want. They don't have to guess whether you're still thinking about them. They already know, because they set the trap and you walked right into it. Your pain, it reassures them. Your frustration, it feeds their ego. Your longing, it's proof they still have control. And the more you react, the more they win. They get to move forward, knowing they still hold space in your mind. But what if, instead of giving them what they expect, you gave them something they never saw coming? What if you didn't crumble? What if you didn't beg? What if you didn't show a single ounce of pain? Imagine standing in the wreckage of what once was and realizing you're still whole. You don't chase, you don't plead, and you don't break. You remain still, like a mountain in a storm. That's when everything changes. That's when the balance of power flips. The second you see them for what they are, not some prize to be won, but a lesson to be learned, everything shifts. Most people fail right here. They believe if they just prove their love, their suffering, their loyalty, then maybe, just maybe, the other person will come running back. But here's the harsh truth. The moment you put them on a pedestal is the moment they look down on you. No one regrets leaving someone who grovels. Regret only comes when they realize they were replaceable, when they see you moving forward without hesitation, and when they see that you're not waiting, that you're not even thinking about them anymore. That's when regret sets in. That's when doubt creeps into their mind. Did they make a mistake? Were they too quick to leave? But by then, it's already too late. Because the person they left behind no longer exists. People expect emotional weakness. They expect you to reach out, to break, to beg for closure. But when you do the opposite, when you respond with absolute indifference, with silence, with an unshakable sense of self, you become something rare, something valuable, something they don't know how to handle. So here's what you do. You stop giving them the satisfaction. You stop replaying the past. Stop waiting for some grand realization to hit them. Stop hoping they'll wake up one day and regret everything. You don't look back. You don't wait. You don't break under pressure. Instead, you thrive. And that right there, that's what will make them regret everything. This is how you take back control. This is how you win. And now, let me ask you this. If you had the power to make them regret losing you without saying a single word, would you use it? Because that power is in your hands right now. Your silence, your strength, your ability to walk away without looking back. That's the most valuable thing you have. So own it, step into it, and never give them what they want. If this message hit hard, then don't just listen, act. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon so you never miss another lesson in power and self-respect. And before you go, drop this in the comments. I am unshakable. Let the world know that from this moment on, you are in control. 1. The trap of attachment. Why they're testing you. You feel it, don't you? That tightness in your chest, that endless loop of what-ifs running through your mind. You keep asking yourself where you went wrong, why they lost interest, why they walked away as if you meant nothing. But here's the truth. You weren't abandoned. You were tested, and you failed. They wanted to see how much control they had over you. They wanted to know if pulling away would break you, if you would lose yourself the moment they left. Because attraction isn't just about love, it's about power. And the second you made them the center of your world, you lost all of yours. Attachment blinds you. It makes you desperate, weak. It turns you into someone who begs instead of walks away, someone who seeks reassurance instead of standing firm. Think about it. When you check their social media, when you overanalyze every word they said, when you wait for them to come back, who's in control? Not you. They are. Without even lifting a finger, they live inside your mind, dictating your every move. And the more attached you are, the more you hand over your power willingly. But here's what they never expected: you waking up. They didn't think you'd realize this. They never thought you'd see that the pain you feel isn't because they left. It's because you gave them the power to decide your worth. And that ends now. A true Stoic knows that suffering doesn't come from what happens. It comes from how you respond. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your emotions, your thoughts, your reactions, they belong to you, not them, not anyone else. So when they test you, when they ignore you, when they act like you don't matter, you do the one thing that breaks the cycle. You refuse to react. You detach completely. Because the second you stop feeding the game, the moment you stop giving them the validation they crave, is the moment they start questioning everything. They expected you to chase. They expected you to beg. They expected you to fall apart. But instead, you become something they don't know how to handle. Unshaken, untouchable, indifferent. You don't need to explain. You don't need to prove anything. You simply become someone who never needed them in the first place. And that is the ultimate power move. 2. The power of silence. Why they want to see you suffer. Right now, they're expecting something from you. A message, a call, a desperate attempt to make sense of what happened. And every second that passes without a reaction, their curiosity grows. They start to wonder why you haven't broken yet, why you aren't reaching out, why you seem unaffected. But make no mistake, this isn't just curiosity, it's confusion. Because the moment someone realizes they no longer have power over your emotions, the entire game shifts. They wanted you to suffer, not because they hate you, not because they enjoy your pain, but because your suffering proves they mattered. Your pain is their validation. It confirms they were significant enough to shake you, that they were important enough to leave a mark. But when they see nothing, no anger, no sadness, no attempts to win them back, what does that tell them? That they were just another passing moment in your life. That they were forgettable. And that terrifies them. This is the power of indifference. When you stop reacting, when you stop caring, when you move in silence, you plant a seed of doubt in their mind. Did I ever really matter? Did I make a mistake? Why aren't they chasing me like the others? And that's when they start watching you. Not because they miss you, not because they love you, but because they need an answer. They need to understand why you aren't broken. Most people make this part easy. They expose their emotions. They make it obvious they're still hurting. They linger in the shadows, hoping for some kind of closure, some sign that the other person still cares. But a person who understands Stoicism and power knows better. They know that true strength isn't in proving their pain, it's in proving their indifference. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." This is where your real power lies. A true Stoic accepts what happens and moves forward without hesitation. No resistance, no regret, just acceptance. Whatever happens, happens. Whatever is lost, is lost. You don't fight it. You don't try to change it. You let it be. And here's the beautiful part. When you truly embrace indifference, it stops being an act. You don't just pretend you don't care. You actually don't. And that's when they start feeling it. The same emptiness you once felt, they now experience. The same need for validation they once demanded from you, they now seek within themselves. Because when you give them nothing, they have no choice but to face the void they left behind. So the next time you feel the urge to react, to explain, to prove something, stop. Be silent. Be still. Be indifferent. Because in your absence, they will finally understand your value. 3. The power shift. Why they start chasing. When you stop caring, you've been told your whole life that if you love someone, you should show it. That if you want to keep them, you should prove your devotion. That if you lose them, you should fight to get them back. But what if I told you everything you've been taught is wrong? The harder you chase, the faster they run. The more you try to prove your worth, the less they value you. And the second you stop caring, that's when everything changes. This is the paradox of human nature. We crave what we can't have and take for granted what is always there. The moment you made them your world, the moment you placed them above yourself, the moment you showed them they had all of you, they didn't feel lucky. They felt bored, because there was no challenge, no mystery, no uncertainty. They knew exactly where they stood, and that certainty made you predictable. And predictability kills attraction. But here's the secret: when you stop caring, you become scarce. And what is scarce becomes valuable. The moment you pull away, the moment you stop proving yourself, the moment you become completely unbothered, you flip the dynamic. Now, they're the ones thinking about you. Now, they're the ones wondering why you're not reacting. Now, they're the ones feeling a sense of loss. Because they expected you to beg. They expected you to chase. They expected you to fall apart without them. And when you didn't, they felt something they never expected: doubt. Doubt is powerful. It makes them question everything. Did they make the right choice? Did they underestimate you? Did they walk away from something they should have fought for? And the more you disappear into your own life, the more their mind rewrites the past. Suddenly, they don't remember why they left. Suddenly, they start replaying your best moments. Suddenly, they miss the attention they once took for granted. This isn't manipulation. This is psychology. It's the law of scarcity. What is always available is never valued. What is uncertain, what is distant, what is slightly out of reach, that is what pulls people in. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This is your power. So stop chasing. Stop trying to make them see your worth. Your worth isn't something you prove. It's something they realize when it's too late. Walk away. Focus on yourself. Let them feel the void you left behind. And when they start chasing, that's when you'll know you were the prize all along." 4. The unseen power. Why disappearing changes. Everything they expect you to react, to reach out, to ask questions, to seek closure. They expect to still have a presence in your mind, to still have control over your emotions. But what happens when you do the one thing they never saw coming? You disappear completely. No explanation, no dramatic goodbye, no one last message to get closure. Just silence. And that silence, it will be louder than anything you could ever say. Because when you give them nothing, when you remove yourself entirely, you create a void that lingers, a void they can't ignore, a void that will stay in their mind far longer than any words ever could. Most people fail at this because their ego demands validation. They want to be seen moving on. They want proof that they've won. So they post on social media, subtly trying to make them jealous. They force an image of happiness. But that is still reacting. That is still caring what they think. And the second you care what they think, they still have control. A true Stoic does not react. A true Stoic does not seek validation. A true Stoic simply walks away, without hesitation, without explanation, without the need for recognition, because silence is your greatest weapon. It forces them to fill in the blanks. It forces them to sit with their own thoughts. It forces them to wonder, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you doing? And the more they wonder, the more they begin to miss you. Here's why. Uncertainty breeds attraction. When they have no access to your emotions, when they have no idea where your mind is, their brain starts creating stories. They start imagining you as stronger, more independent, more desirable. They start questioning if they made a mistake. They start feeling what you once felt: discomfort, doubt, loss. And that's why disappearing is so powerful. It's not about revenge. It's not about making them suffer. It's about breaking free. It's about proving to yourself that you do not need them, that you are in full control of your emotions, that you are a person of discipline, not desperation. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." So stop explaining, stop checking in, stop leaving the door open for their return. Be the one who disappears without a word, because the moment you do, they will feel your absence more than they ever felt your presence. 5. The silent rise, rebuilding in the shadows. Right now, there are two paths ahead. One is to remain stuck in the past, replay every mistake, and let this entire experience define who you are. The other is to transform that pain into fuel, forging a version of yourself so elevated that the person they left behind no longer exists. It might feel impossible at first. You might be thinking, what if I can't stop replaying our last conversation? What if I can't stop wondering whether they've moved on, or if they regret leaving? But the truth is, they will not come back simply because you're in pain. They will not regret anything just because you're hurting. Regret occurs when they realize you've become someone greater without them, someone they can no longer reach. This is the point most people misunderstand. They believe the best revenge is to flaunt success in plain sight or broadcast every achievement in the hope that it sparks envy. But that is still making it about the other person. That is still giving them center stage in your life. True growth isn't rooted in bitterness or a need to show off. A genuine Stoic mindset dictates that the only person you must surpass is the person you were yesterday. Improvement isn't about validation or payback, it's about self-mastery. As Marcus Aurelius put it, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. To do that, you vanish into your own world. You focus on your mental, physical, and financial well-being. You might hit the gym, not to make them jealous, but because you want to mold the strongest version of yourself. You might dive into books or online courses, not to appear intellectual, but to sharpen your mind and cultivate discipline. You might learn a new skill, not to parade it on social media, but because the act of learning fuels your self-worth from within. Over time, this dedicated self-investment shapes you into someone who stands firmly on their own 2 feet, someone who doesn't need external reassurance to feel complete. Naturally, questions arise during this process. What if I never see them again? What if they're with someone else? What if all of this is pointless if I never cross their mind? But those questions don't matter because they stem from the same attachment that once held you back. When you rebuild in the shadows, You're not doing it to make them notice. You're doing it to become the best possible version of yourself, regardless of who's watching. Paradoxically, that is precisely when people start to notice. They might hear about your progress through mutual friends, or stumble upon changes in your life that contradict the idea of you being stuck. At first, they might dismiss it, assuming it's a temporary facade. Yet as weeks turn into months, their curiosity grows. Slowly, they realize you aren't the same individual they walked away from. Doubt creeps in. Did they misjudge you? Did they leave too soon? By the time these questions gnaw at their mind, the gap between who you were and who you've become is too vast for them to cross. This is not about punishing them. It's about freeing yourself. There is a profound difference between proving something to someone else and proving something to yourself. When you center your life on self-improvement, the payoff is far more than fleeting satisfaction. It leads to an unshakable sense of purpose that no one can diminish. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, you take the remnants of a painful ending and transform them into the foundation of your comeback. The flames that once burned you become the spark for something far greater. At this point, the heartbreak that once felt so all-consuming becomes a distant reminder of your turning point. The anxiety about whether they regret leaving dissolves into gratitude for the lessons learned. When you rebuild in the shadows, you do more than heal your wounds. You evolve beyond who you were, forging an unbreakable bond with yourself. By the time anyone realizes the extent of your transformation, it no longer matters whether they approve or regret their choices. You have outgrown the very confines that once tied your worth to their opinion. And that is the essence of this silent rise. You emerge stronger, more focused, and more self-reliant. The noise, the doubts, and the need for outside validation fade away. You don't merely survive, you ascend. And in that ascension, you discover the truest form of freedom, living life on your own terms, guided by your own values, with nothing and no one able to pull you back into the shadows you left behind. 6. The psychological reversal, why they start to regret. They thought they had you all figured out. They assumed you would react like everyone else, clinging to the memories, begging for another chance, showing you couldn't stand on your own. Yet something shifted. You didn't chase them, you didn't beg, you didn't show even a hint of desperation. Instead, you quietly stepped away. You focused on yourself. You evolved into a version of you they never anticipated, a person no longer under their control. That's when the regret begins. In the early stages, they will deny it, often without even realizing they're doing so. They'll keep busy and pretend everything is fine. They may immerse themselves in distractions, anything from nights out with friends to endless scrolling on social media, in an attempt to silence the voice in their head that questions the decision they made. But late at night, when the world grows quiet, they'll pick up their phone, half expecting a message from you. They're certain you'll have reached out by now. Yet when there's nothing but silence, an unease sets in. That unease is doubt. Doubt is both powerful and unsettling because it prompts the mind to rewrite history. When they walked away, they convinced themselves you weren't worth the effort, that moving on would be easy, that you would fade away like a faint memory. Now, however, they can't lean on that certainty. Each day that passes without any sign of you forces them to question whether they judged you too quickly. Suddenly, the mind starts magnifying the good times you shared, highlighting the best parts of who you were. In these moments, they may begin to sense that the person they left behind was not as replaceable as they once believed. This shift in perspective stems in part from a psychological concept known as cognitive dissonance. The human brain despises contradictions. It wants every choice to feel justified, every decision to be the right one. When evidence appears to the contrary, like discovering you are perfectly capable of thriving on your own, cognitive dissonance sets in. They can't reconcile the image of you they remember with the reality of you they now see or hear about. Their confidence in walking away wavers because the version of you in their mind no longer matches the one that currently exists. Questions start flooding in. Did I make a mistake? Did I overlook their true potential? Were my assumptions all wrong? Uncertainty grows with each realization that you've not only survived but thrived. Instead of flailing, you've adapted, pushing yourself to become more focused and more grounded. This quiet progression rattles them at their core. They had hoped or even expected that you would be an open book of pain, broadcasting your every emotion in plain sight. Yet you remained silent, leaving them with no clue about your innermost thoughts. That vacuum of information magnifies their sense of loss. Genuine growth is not about showing off to create envy or regret. It's about embracing the philosophy that your greatest responsibility is to yourself. Stoic thinkers like Epictetus remind us, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. By doing exactly that, by living and growing and bettering yourself, you demonstrate a kind of self-reliance that no one can shatter. You're not achieving success to prove anything to them. You're doing it because you've realized your life deserves your full attention and care. In this state of evolution, you no longer need their validation. You've outgrown the idea that someone else's approval defines your worth. While you're busy cultivating a stronger mindset, refining your skills, or embracing new opportunities, they're left to wrestle with the absence of your old patterns. Maybe they try to rationalize that you've changed too fast or become unrecognizable. But the truth is simpler. You chose to let go of anything that once held you back. That's where the regret truly bites. It's not about who you were when they left. It's about who you are now. They can't access the deeper, more confident person you've become. By the time realization dawns on them, it's already too late. You've grown past the point of seeking their approval. You've learned how to stand firmly on your own 2 feet, guided by your own values and aspirations. Ironically, the regret they experience has less to do with missing who you used to be. It has everything to do with missing the opportunity to know who you've become. The door they expected to waltz back through someday no longer exists. This reversal of perspective, where the one who walked away is now filled with questions and longing, underscores a simple truth. When you invest in yourself and refuse to be defined by loss, you create a future that no longer relies on the past. And by the time they recognize what they've lost, you'll have already moved on to bigger, better horizons. That is the essence of psychological reversal. 7. The unavoidable return, why they come back. You were supposed to break. You were supposed to chase. You were supposed to be like everyone else, desperate, waiting, hoping for one last chance. But instead, you did something they never expected. You disappeared. You leveled up. You became completely unfazed. And now, whether they admit it or not, they feel it. The loss, the absence, the shift in power. That's why sooner or later they will come back. At first it will be subtle, a random text, a comment on something you posted, a message out of nowhere, casually asking how you've been. But don't be fooled. This isn't accidental. It's calculated. They want to test the waters, to see if you're still there, if they still have control, if they can still pull you back the moment they want to. Because if you react too eagerly, if you show even a glimpse of the old you, the one who was attached, the one who longed for them, they win. But you're different now. You don't react. You don't engage. You remain detached, unshaken, indifferent. Because now you understand the truth. They're not coming back because they love you. They're coming back because they lost control. They felt your absence. They felt the void. And now they want to see if they can still pull you into their world. This is called the push-pull dynamic. The moment you pull away, they feel the need to push. It's human nature. We crave what we can't have. The second they sense they no longer have access to you, their mind starts rewriting history. Suddenly, they forget why they left. The flaws they once focused on fade into the background. They only remember the best parts of you. And the more distant you are, the more desirable you become. But this is where most people fail. The moment they come back, they see it as a victory. They believe it means the other person finally realized their worth. And in that excitement, they welcome them back without hesitation, only to find themselves in the same cycle all over again. This is the ultimate mistake. Someone who left once will always test you again. If they know they broke you before, they will always have that doubt in the back of their mind. Is this strength real, or was it just an act? That's why, when they come back, you don't celebrate. You don't fall for the illusion. You don't see it as proof of anything. You simply observe. You analyze. You decide if they're even worth a response. Because now, you are the one in control. You are the one who chooses. And that realization alone, it will drive them crazy. 8. The ultimate decision. Do you let them back? So now they're back. The same person who walked away, who doubted you, who thought they could replace you. And suddenly, they're showing interest again. They're curious, nostalgic, trying to find a way back into your life. But the real question isn't about them. It's about you. Do you let them back in? Most people would say yes. They'd see this as their moment, their chance to finally win. But that's where they go wrong. Because this isn't about winning them back. It's about winning yourself. The real test was never whether they'd return. The real test is whether you have the discipline to say no. Think about it. They didn't come back because of love. They came back because of regret, because of doubt, because they lost control. They see you've changed, that you've grown, that you've become something stronger than they ever expected. And now they want to be part of it again. But where was this energy when you needed it? Where was their concern when you were hurting? Where was their loyalty when you were all in? It wasn't there, because back then they didn't respect you. And if you let them back in too easily, they won't respect you now. A true Stoic does not act out of emotion. They don't let nostalgia blind them. They don't let temporary regret make them forget the past. Instead, they see things clearly, not as they wish them to be, but as they are. And the truth is simple. They left once, and they will always know they can do it again. That's why you choose yourself. You don't go back to something that broke you. You don't entertain someone who tested your value by walking away. Because now you are different. You have standards. You have self-respect. You understand that if they truly saw your worth, they never would have left in the first place. So when they reach out, when they try to reconnect, when they act like they suddenly see what they lost, you don't fall for it. You remain indifferent. You remain disciplined. You remain untouchable. Because now you are no longer the person who needs them. You are the person they can no longer have.